Hi, class. How are you today? Day two of Chinese imperialism. What I want to harp on from last class is the last bullet we had here. Remember, because of the Opium War, and then because of the Opium War, Europeans and Americans starting to cause cultural issues, the issues with opium within the country of China, that nationalism is beginning to decline. And the point I made in class, and I don't think I made it on the video yesterday, or definitely not well enough, is when nationalism begins to decline, the people are going to blame leadership and they're going to blame outsiders. All right. Those are the two groups they're always going to blame, no matter what year it is, what country it is, or what have you. All right. Those are just certainties. All right. Just like I think the example I gave you in class and notes yesterday, if I let a kid from another school come in and start doing whatever they wanted, following their own rules, you would start to be jealous of that kid and not like that kid. And then also you would then direct it towards leadership, meaning me. Okay. So let's see how the people of China respond. They respond with rebellion. Here we go. So we talked about this on day one. The large population of China is definitely a problem. Even today, all right, it's a blessing and a curse. All right, few food production suffered, guys, and we had a few years of famine. Nothing. Now the cause of it was, yes, a good portion of the country was getting addicted to opium. You're a drug addict. You're not going to be able to function. You're not going to be able to work hard. It also then coincided with some just bad luck as far as weather. Okay, so it was the perfect storm, and people would satisfy their hunger by doing more opium, which doesn't help. Millions of hungry and poor people begin suffering. Obviously, who do they all blame? All right, they blame foreigners and their leadership. Okay. Taiping Rebellion. 1830s, 1860s. This is a 3-decade-long rebellion. Millions of people are going to die. All right. It starts. The major leader is Hong Xiushan. He was a philosopher. He was Christian. He believed that he was Jesus's brother, I believe. But he definitely used religion to help rally the people. And now it's interesting. He uses a quote unquote foreign religion. Christianity is not natural. Is not been a part of Chinese culture. So he's able to use this to rally the peasants to what he called create a heavenly kingdom of great peace. Doesn't sound awesome? Where everyone in China would share its wealth. So that sounds like communism, right? Okay. We talked about this a little bit with communism. All right. People who don't have much, communism sounds pretty awesome. Like, you're going to tell me I can have more than nothing. I can be equal. We can share. All right. That's appealing. All right. But again, like most things in life, before he could get the peace, he needed violence. Okay. After a great amount of success occurs, all right, Xiushan does something very interesting. He abandons his army. He gives it up. All right, and leaves, leaving his advisors and family in charge. Just real quick on the story. What happens is he grows sort of. It becomes an illusion. He talked about sharing the wealth, right? But as we talked about with communism, it's extremely difficult. It takes a lot of people working together. And what happened as his rebellion became more powerful and more successful, people wanted to rise up in leadership. People weren't cool with just sharing. And it's not what he envisioned. So frankly, he gives it up. He gives it up and leaves other people in charge. Without the main leader, it falls apart, and it causes the downfall of the rebellion. If he hadn't it's one of those what ifs in Chinese history. If he hadn't given up, or if the people had behaved better, maybe they would have embraced communism earlier than they ended up doing. In the 1860s, the British get rid of the French, and the French helped China get rid of the rebellion, and tens of millions of people died. All right? This is big. The Dowager Empress, who we're going to watch a very brief video on the last day. It'll be linked. Actually, it'll be linked in notes today. Oh, no, I'll show it to you tomorrow in notes. She looks for outside help to get rid of this rebellion. The people aren't going to forget that. All right. Some other issues. Modernization. You're going to do a reading on Japan and compare and contrast their approach to modernization and China's. The Dowager Empress, the person in charge, she doesn't necessarily reject modernization, but she doesn't embrace it as fast as other places. All right. So what happens is after, they're running into trouble, a lot of people in the Chinese leadership say, hey, we need to do better by our people. All right. But the majority still clung to the old ways. All right. So the Dowager Empress takes over because the new emperor is too young. It's a very interesting story about the young emperor. He was locked away in the Forbidden Palace. He became emperor. I think it would have been age 7 if they allowed him to take over, but he wasn't quite ready yet. So the Dowager Empress is in charge. She was committed to tradition, but again, she started industrializing. And she also improved the schools. Not for everyone, right? All right, most of the wealthy and middle class are going to be accessing the schools, but she did start to chip away at it. She was in a very, very difficult place. All right, let's be honest, right? She's one of the few female leaders on Earth at this time, okay? And frankly, how she rose to power is kind of shady. She was the girlfriend, quote unquote, of the old emperor. She wasn't an official wife, all right? But she was very cunning and political, and she knew how to get things done behind the scenes for a long time. And then she was willing to make tough decisions. All right, it's not easy being in leadership. She went and asked the British and French for help, all right? That's not an easy thing to do, but she felt it was the best thing to keep herself in power and to keep the country. And then again, I'll give her credit for seeing some of the ways of modernization, as so many people around her rejected it. But in general, China does not embrace modernization. Okay? After the rebellion, after Britain and France come in and help, other countries see it's ripe for the picking. You're going to do a reading on this today. All right? And what happens is people start to create spheres of influence. All right? And that's all about money. Okay, so what I'm saying is Europe and America didn't necessarily come into China and want to establish governments. They didn't want to establish cultural change. They were there for trade, all right, for economic purposes, all right. America's on the outside, guys, beginning to worry, seeing this happen, all right, dividing up China like they had what? Africa, right? So they start to get involved. America in 1899 convinces China to create what's called, not Command N, Command B, an open door policy. It is what it sounds like, guys. China was going to open up its doors. All harbors would be open to all countries. What it used to be under the spheres of influence crew is that, like, Britain would get a harbor, France got a harbor, Germany got a harbor. These European countries staked claims to their spheres, so to their harbors. Didn't care about the interior, just these harbors. And America said, no, let's all open this up to everyone. All right? Let's do it. Let's finish up. We've only been through 7 minutes. Let's finish up. So, last bit of China, all right? We're going to pick China up in 1902, basically, okay, in case you're wondering, all right, because you can see Japan's our next part. All right. Peasants, this is big. Peasants keep getting angrier and angrier at the lack of help from their government and the constant insult of having foreigners with so much power and control over their country, okay? So every business is owned by a Western country, all right? They're seeing Western business people walking their streets, all right? Still sort of feeling this air of invincibility as foreigners. All right. The cultural erosion's happening. So people get mad. All right. And in a country of millions upon millions, it doesn't take a lot to get it going. So thousands get together, which then expands into millions, and they form the Society of Righteous and Harmonious Fists, also known as the Boxers. This was the nickname given to them. All right. Very similar. They weren't going to go full communist, but very similar. The idea of the lower classes needed to be heard more in China was the goal of the Boxer Rebellion, as well as eliminate outsiders. All right, so eliminate foreign influence. All right, so what the Boxers first did is they attacked the foreign countries, and the Dowager Empress, she says verbally, "Nice job, guys," but with her actions, she never sends any military help. So she talks one way, but does something different on the other way, okay? Her actions do not speak as loud as her words, all right? And what ends up happening, this is where I'm going to leave you sort of on a cliffhanger here as we get into the 1900s, because World War I is about to occur, which kind of slows some things down. But Chinese nationalism is growing, all right? And it's because of anger with leadership. Put that part in there, okay? After the Boxer Rebellion, the Empress, she starts to accept some changes, but by this point, it's too late. Okay, China adopts a constitutional monarchy. All right, but World War I is going to occur, then World War II is going to occur, and during this 40-year period that's going to come up ahead that we're going to study briefly before we get into modern China, we'll do it during World War II, is China is kind of beset by internal civil war. Okay, there's internal civil war because not everyone is okay with this constitutional monarchy, and as you can imagine, people want control. All right, we got through China today, which is awesome. This is about a 10-minute video. You have 2 assignments today. I'm going to give you till 3 p.m. on Thursday to get those done, but you'll get some Japan work, so keep that in mind. All right, but I'll put those on Thursday. Again, 2 assignments. I'm going to wrap up Japan. We're able to wrap up China one day early, which is great. We'll be able to get to World War I faster, and everything will move faster. So we'll do Japan tomorrow. All right, guys, be well.